Hi everyone, so today I'm going to show you how to recreate the 2000s Britney Spears VMA look. I'm going to do it on a bratz doll, but I think if you follow this tutorial you'll be able to do it on any doll. Thank you for watching. The most important thing before you start is to make a mock-up. A mock-up is basically a trial outfit. Creating a trial outfit allows you to test the outfit to make sure that it's perfect. So you always have to make a mock-up. In this case, for the leggings, I made 2 mock-ups in total, and then I made the final outfit. So just bear that in mind. You need to have enough fabric to make several versions of the outfit. And if you don't have enough fabric to make several versions of the outfit, then try and find a fabric that matches your actual fabric as much as possible. Not in color, but in the way it behaves in the material. So first you would have to create the pattern for the doll, and although I'm using a bratz doll, I'm gonna show you how to create the pattern from scratch so you can use it on any doll you want. So first you just have to trace the doll on a piece of paper. I use a mechanical pencil to trace the pattern. You can use a pen or a Sharpie, but those can stain the doll, so I would be careful. Whereas with a pencil, I feel like a pencil is much easier to remove. And I trace all of her legs, including the shoes and the waist, just so I have them as reference. When you look at pictures of Britney, her pants go over her shoes, so I want to include the shoes in the pattern. As you can see, I'm not very good at drawing, but once I remove the doll, I'm just going to focus on one of the legs and just make the pattern as perfect as I can make it. Once you're happy with your paper pattern, you're going to cut it out, you're going to trace it onto a fabric, and you're going to sew it up, and you're going to have your pants done. As I said before, I did 2 mock-ups, and I found that actually this pattern is too small for my doll. That means I have to increase the pattern, and I'm going to show you how to increase the pattern. In my case, I found that I need to increase the pattern by 1 centimeter, which means I will add half a centimeter to each side of the pattern. In your case, you might have a perfect pattern, so you won't have to do this. I'm using a see-through ruler and basically marking a tiny dot half a centimeter away from each side every couple of millimeters, and then I just sort of join the dots. I don't know if this is the correct way of doing it, but that's the best way I found. The only places that I don't increase the pattern on is the waist, so the top of the waist and the bottom of the pattern. Once you have your pattern, you can cut it out. Here I just folded the pattern pieces to make sure that the flares at the bottom of the leg are even. I'm using spandex fabric that I found. I think the color matches the doll's skin tone really well, just like Britney's outfit. And it's just some spare fabric that I had from some shorts that I never wore. You need to trace and cut out 4 fabric pieces, so 2 for the front of the legs and 2 for the back of the legs. Just make sure when you trace 4 pieces, you have to have 2 pieces facing one way and 2 pieces facing the other way. They basically have to be mirror image of each other. Another thing you have to be mindful of when making a pattern is you have to take into account the good and the bad side of your fabric. That means you have to have 2 legs drawn on the good side of your fabric that face opposite each other, and 2 legs drawn on the bad side of the fabric that also are mirror images of each other. That way when you sew it, you'll have all your legs facing the correct way and all of them being on the right side of the fabric. When you're sewing, you have to make sure that you sew on the bad side of the fabric. Remember, when sewing you need to leave some seam allowance, so when you draw the pattern pieces, just make sure they're spread out enough to include some seams. I just kind of winged the seams. I don't know exactly what seam allowance I included. Once you have your pieces cut out, you have to match and align the pattern pieces properly. To make sure I have a perfect alignment between the two pieces, I'm using a pin, a clothespin, and I'm just slowly attaching the two legs, and I'm making sure that they're completely aligned. So I start at one corner of the pattern and just carry on until I have pinned all of my pattern pieces. I pin both legs and I'm gonna sew them. I'm only going to sew the inner leg and the outer leg. I'm not sewing the waist, I'm not sewing the crotch seam, and I'm not sewing the bottom of the pants. When making the legs, I'm just using a normal size stitch. I just found it worked best, and if I make a mistake I can easily unpick it. I just work really slowly. I do a couple stitches, then I stop, make sure everything's okay. I do another couple stitches, make sure everything's okay. Here you can see that the inner leg is sewed and the outer leg is still pinned. So now I'm gonna sew the outer leg. To make sure that the fit is correct, I'm just placing the leg on my doll. So here I have both of my legs on the doll, and now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stitch the crotch. And I'm gonna do this by hand. I just found that the machine is way too fiddly to do, so I'm just doing it by hand, and I'm using a back stitch just for that extra support and strength. There are essentially two seams that you have to stitch in the crotch area, so the front and between the legs. So in these two diagrams I show you exactly what you need to stitch. Once I'm done with that, I'm just gonna cut off all the seams, all the bulky seams. This fabric is spandex, so it doesn't fray and you don't have to finish the seams nicely. Make sure you don't cut the seams at the top of the waist and at the bottom of the pants, because we'll still have to hem them nicely. Okay, so for the hemming process, you want to turn the pants inside out. So to sew the hem, I fold it twice, and then you can do just a top stitch, or you can do an invisible stitch, and I decided to do an invisible stitch. So the needle shows you that I just take one strand of thread from the front fabric and then I attach it to the hem, and I sew it like that all the way around. This way you won't see the thread on the front of the pants, it will look invisible. Otherwise you can just do a top stitch, which is when you just do a running stitch and you'll just see on the good side of the fabric. So as you can see, your trousers will probably be too big near the waist. In order to fix that, you need to create a dart at the back. There's probably better ways of doing this, but this is the method that I chose. I created a dart so that the waist is smaller than the hips in terms of its circumference. So I just pull it from the back and I fold it into a triangle. I tried to show this a bit more clearly using the green fleece fabric. The dart is quite complicated, you just have to keep trying, and I had to do it a couple of times just to get the tightness around the waist that I wanted. Looking at the pictures of Britney, you can see that her pants completely cover the sole of the shoe, but the front of the shoe peeks out through the pants. So I created this sort of shape to the pants by measuring it against the shoe. I honestly don't know how I did it, I just sort of winged it and it came out alright, so Godspeed to you. And then I just hemmed it twice as before using the invisible stitch. So this is the final product in terms of the pants. The waist isn't quite even, but I'm actually quite happy with it. As I said before, I'm not an expert on how to do this. If you look at Britney's outfit, she has two pieces of fabric sort of coming out like a belt. Although it's colored the same color as her pants, it's also bejeweled, so I just decided to use a silver ribbon to sort of replicate it. Because I wanted to be able to remove the belt, I decided to use Velcro. So I attached Velcro to one of the sides of the ribbon. I then wrapped the ribbon around the doll as I want the belt to sit, and that allows me to measure how long the ribbon has to be in order to meet the Velcro that I attached in the beginning. So then I attach the Velcro to the other side and I create the sort of panty-like structure. It's probably a bit over the top, and you can probably just attach ribbons to the trousers, or just do it any other way you want, but this is how I did it. And here's the final product in terms of the pants. The next thing that we want to work on is the top of this outfit. To do that, I first had to draw a pattern. Again, I used the doll and I just traced her upper body. And I did it twice because it's a bit difficult to trace it nicely with the camera. So I did it off the camera. Basically, I looked at pictures of Britney and her top seems to have quite a V shape in the middle. So I tried to replicate that. I added bands for the top of the bra and the sides of the bra so that it can wrap around her. I measured the doll's waist and I made sure that the sides of the bra was long enough to wrap around her. The length of the bra straps at the top, I just sort of winged it and made it as long as I could. And while doing the mock-up is when I fix all the lengths and make sure they're all correct. So again, you have to make several mock-ups. Actually, I think I made 2 mock-ups before I landed on the final vision of the bra. I cut out the paper pattern and I folded it in half just to make sure that it was even. Because I'm not really good at drawing evenly. I traced the pattern on a piece of fabric, I cut it out and measured it against the doll. So I cut it out without seam allowance, mainly because this is just a mock-up and also because the spandex fabric doesn't fray. So once I cut out the mock-up, I put it against the doll and I sew all the straps together. Since it's a mock-up, it was really loose. So I would work on the waist strap, make it as tight as I can, and then I would go and work on the top strap, make it as tight as I can, and I just kept doing that. So I just kept sewing until I got a perfect fit. The straps that go around the waist, the top length of that strap has to be longer than the bottom length of that strap, mainly because the Bratz doll's waist goes in. So again, once I had this mock-up fabric pattern, I traced it on a piece of paper. I tried to make it as even as possible, and then I traced it out again on fabric, and I sort of iterated until I had the final pattern that I was happy with. And this is what I ended up with. So on the sides, the little squares that I drew on the sides is basically where I'm gonna put my closures in. So I'm using a snap button for the waist strap and for the top strap. And then to hem the bra, I'm just using a single fold. I'm not doing a double fold as I did on the pants, mainly because it creates a really bulky line, and I use the invisible stitch trick as before. To do the hem, I'm cutting at the points of the pattern diagonally, just so that the seams, when I fold, I get a nice fold that doesn't pucker up. So of course, Britney's outfit has a lot of blink to it. I'm gonna be using some rhinestones and glitter to mimic her outfit. So I'm using the gem tag glue, and I find it very, very good. It holds rhinestones really well, even if I stretch the fabric. And I'm just using a toothpick. With one end, I put a blue tack on in order to be able to grab the rhinestones. I'm using the other side of the toothpick to just put a little dot of glue. I keep placing the rhinestones around the V-neck of the bra. So once I'm done with that, I'm gonna move on to trousers. And also I wanted to know that I added a little, using the gem tag glue, I glued on a little rhinestone on her belly button to mimic Britney's belly button piercing. I'm also placing rhinestones around the waist of the trousers, and I'm doing 3 rows of rhinestones because if you look at pictures of Britney, it seems like she has 3 rows of rhinestones around her waist. And then I'm also creating a shape around the crotch area that sort of mimics underwear. For the smaller rhinestones, I have nothing smaller than the rhinestones I'm using at the moment, so I thought I'll just use glitter flecks to sort of mimic the smaller rhinestones on her outfit. So to do that, I just apply some of the gem tag glue in a shape that I want, and then I just pour a bunch of glitter on top of it, and I give it a second or so to just for the glue to dry, and then I flick the fabric. I use an additional tool. It's a nail dotting tool and allows me to make very small dots. For the actual pattern of the pants, I kept looking at pictures of Britney and just tried to mimic as closely as possible. So I don't think it's 100% perfect, but I'll show you the pattern that I've created at the end of the video. So in order to remove the unwanted glitter, the best way to do it would be is if you could flick the fabric, or if you could stretch it and then release it. But I was worried that that could damage the fabric, so instead, to sort of remove the unnecessary glitter, I just sort of shook the doll and flicked on her body rather than on the trousers. And with the glitter, I did it onto a piece of paper so that I could collect the glitter back up. Just made the whole process much easier. And I kept working with both the gem tag nozzle and also a dotting tool that I had for nail art. And I kept working on different areas at a time, because obviously when you apply the glitter goes everywhere and it sort of covers the nearby area, so you can't work in one area at a time. You kind of have to move around the trousers. It's a very messy process and it took me a couple of days. And for the bottom of the trousers, I tried to do very small dots to sort of replicate smaller rhinestones. So for the bra, I did very similar things. I sort of created like a flower-like motif on the bra and added some loose rhinestones everywhere else. Here I'm trying to show you that she doesn't seem to have any rhinestones on the back of her bra, but I still added a bit of rhinestones on the back of her bra. To mimic the microphone that she had, I got this bratz microphone. It matches her microphone quite well because she seems to have a silver and black microphone, but the purple doesn't match, so I decided just to use some silver nail polish to try and cover the purple as best as I can. And I used gel nail polish, so I was able to cure it and do this process very quickly. I wasn't quite happy with the final result, so I'm not sure. I might change it in the future. So here is just me putting it on. Because of all the glue work and because I worked directly on the doll, there's a bit of stray glue here and there, so I'm using just rubbing alcohol to clean her up. I wasn't focused on the glitter on her body as much. I removed as much as I could, but the glitter from the trousers and the bra will always come down on her body, so mostly I just focused on cleaning off the glue as best as I can. And that was quite easy with the alcohol. It's just the glitter goes everywhere, so it's quite difficult to remove. Here's the final outfit I've created. Here I'm showing you the close-up of the glitter pattern. I don't think it's 100% true to Britney's outfit, but I tried my best, and I'm sure you can do much better than I can, but I'm just showing you this in case you wanted to have a reference. And here's some final pictures of the outfit in different environments so you can see a bit better in action. Thank you so much for watching it, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something, and if you did, it would be great if you could post your creations on Instagram. I have an Instagram account. If you can tag me, please do. You can find all the stuff in the description. And if you enjoyed this video, please like it. I really want to make more videos like this, so if you're interested, please subscribe. But yeah, thank you so much for watching.